Could you explain why the messages of the Old Testament and the New Testament are so different? The Old Testament reads of invasions and wars and other things, vengeance. The New Testament, Jesus' messages are of forgiveness and love of neighbor. They're very different. Well, this is actually an easier question than you think. And the reason for that is this. Many of you are parents and have had children. And those of you that haven't been parents, I'm sure you can understand this. Do you treat a toddler the same way you treat an adolescent, the same way that you treat someone who's like a college student or someone who's in their 50s or 60s? The relationship of a parent with a toddler and the relationship of a parent with a grown adult child, is it the same? The answer is no. The way that we treat a small child, let's say that the child is 7 or 8 years old, the way that we speak to them, the way that we watch over them, the way that we protect them, the way that we, in a sense, ensure that they have what they need, is different than the way we speak to a child when they're 40 or 50 years old. They're not the same relationship. Think of the Bible as a story of a relationship that grows over a few thousand years. The way that God treated the Israelites at the very beginning is like a parent taking care of a toddler that's running around screaming the terrible twos. You know what I'm talking about? Wanting to stick the knife in the electrical outlet, wanting to put their hand in the fire, wanting to do all the stuff they're told not to do. And as a good parent, God has to kind of rein them in and keep them where they're supposed to be and punish them when they need to be punished because they're a little out of hand, doing what they want. In the New Testament, think of it as years have passed. The child has gotten older, more mature in their relationship with God, and we can treat them as an adult. We don't have to coddle them the same way we did when they were smaller. So, as an adult child, you're teaching them how to balance a checkbook, how to live independently, how to make your famous dishes, all those other things that you wouldn't teach a child how to do. So because the relationship with the child is changing over time, the relationship also changes with the adults. And the relationship with God and the Israelites works the same way. Does that make sense? So it's not that the message changes, it's just that it's a more full understanding because God doesn't have to explain it in simplistic terms. The way we describe God and Jesus and the crucifixion to a 7-year-old is different than the way we talk about crucifixion to a 30 or 40-year-old. They're not the same. We can't talk about nails going through the medial nerve, stopping the diaphragm from moving to a small child. It'll give them nightmares. But we can with an adult. So God's revelation to the Israelites and the early Christians is different than his revelation to them in the beginning when the Old Testament was written. Any questions about that? No.